Good morning. It is Monday, Labor Day, here in the United States. And I wanted to um, talk a little bit about my trip to the grocery store today to get water and my trip with a girlfriend to look at crystals yesterday. We spent from 10:30 a.m. to 7:30 together. And man, did we cover a lot of ground. Not necessarily in land coverage, but topics. I mean, we hit everything. So some of that might come out in this video, and but the main thing that I wanted to talk about was water and using distilled water on my plants and how it evolved to what I started thinking about was going into my body. So let's start with that. I used to have a green thumb when I was younger. I had lots of plants. I could grow a plant like you wouldn't believe. And then I moved into this apartment, and it seems like all I could do was kill plants. And I was complaining about it one day, and Corey Evans told me that I should not use tap water on my plants, that I should use distilled water. And I basically didn't believe him because I really didn't know why that would make any difference at all. And I happened to, I think I finally went through enough plants and killing plants that I had bought, and it was starting to piss me off. So finally I thought, well, maybe I do need to use distilled water on my plants, and let's see if that makes a difference, because I couldn't figure any other issue. So I did start using distilled water on my plants, and they did start growing better. I don't know if it was something else that I did. I don't know if it was just the distilled water, but we'll just say that now I only use distilled water on my plants because I want them to be healthy and not die on me. Okay, so let's fast forward to I have drank water out of a Brita water filter pitcher for, I don't know, at least since I moved into this apartment. And I also have a filter on top of my coffee pot. So the water in the coffee gets filtered twice. And I have noticed more and more all the time. I didn't notice this in the beginning a year or so ago, but I have noticed now that I dump it out of the Brita filter, I dump it into the coffee pot, and then it filters in another filter, and there's always silt in the top of that. I mean, like nasty silt. So that tells me that my Brita water filter is not doing much of anything. And if that stuff is going into me, then what else is going into me when I drink water, especially out of the tap? So over the weekend, I don't know, maybe within the last couple of weeks or so, I've been hearing more about the pineal gland and how it calcifies and how fluoride goes into our water, and that was intentionally put in there to help keep us dumb and stupid. I'm sorry if you've never heard that before, but it's time that you know. So anyway, fluoride in water apparently is not good for you. We've been told for a long, long time that it helps your teeth. I hate to break it to them, but I grew up on well water, and I didn't have fluoride in my water until I was probably in my, 20s. So I have really good teeth for the most part, so I'm not sure that fluoride or lack of fluoride did me any damage. Anyhow, so I decided over the weekend, I started kind of studying. I'm like going, if my Brita water filter is not filtering very good and it's still dumping that kind of crap into the water that I'm drinking, then maybe I need to make a change in my water. And that was part of our discussion yesterday, was how, you try to make a difference in what you're eating and what you're drinking, and then you come to find out that behind the scenes, there's probably somebody doing something to poison you on purpose. Unfortunately, that's just kind of a fact of life that I have come to grapple with in the last few months. And I I decided I was going to go get Ice Mountain spring water because I did a little research online, and I'm like, this seems to be like a little bit better than the tap water that I'm drinking, and it's like $1 a bottle. So I'm like, I'm willing to spend that right now because I'm starting to question why I feel so bad all the time, and perhaps maybe changing my water will help. So I go to the grocery store this morning, and I'm there early. I'm there like 7 o'clock this morning. And I get 6 bottles of the Ice Mountain spring water and 1 bottle of distilled water for my plants. And the gal comes over to help, and I was like, is there any way that I can like swipe these waters and put them back in the container, because there's not enough room on this little mini thing to fit them all. So she came over and she swiped them all and then just stuck them back in my bag or in my cart, and I had 1 distilled water, and so she swiped it, and I made a comment about the distilled water being for my plants. And she kind of looked at me and she goes, distilled water? She's like, I thought plants needed all the minerals that they could get. And I said, well, they do, but they don't need all the other poison that comes in the tap water that comes out of it. And she just kind of looked at me really strange, and I don't remember what I said at that point in time, or if I said anything. She may have walked off with that puzzled look on her face, like she was thinking about that, you know. And so she ended up coming back a little bit later and asked me how I was doing, and we were talking about learning stuff, and she's like something about see you next time. She goes, I learned something new today from you. And I said, well, I could probably learn something from you. What could I learn from you? And she told me what she would tell a kid or whatever. And she said, I said, well, I'm a teacher too. I just teach adults. And she said, well, what do you teach? And I said, well, I guess I teach spiritual awakening, and how basically I said, and how the government has lied to you, and everything that you've learned from the time that you were born is all a lie, and the government does not have your back. And I was trying to say it as fast as I could because I was like getting ready to leave, and I knew I had that like 30-second elevator speech. If I got to get something out, I better get it out now. And there was a lady across the way doing her thing, and when I said that that you've been lied to about everything you've ever learned, and the government does not have your back like you always thought they did, she turned around and looked at me, and then she kind of went back because she got caught looking at me. But man, that was interesting. I would have loved to have known whether she was agreeing with me or if that's the first time she'd ever heard that. So I go ahead and leave, and the only bad thing about buying bottled water is, well, there's 2 bad things. One, I have to haul it up 2 flights of stairs to get it up into my apartment. But since I'm not going to spend, I don't know how much money on a reverse osmosis system for an apartment, I have to figure out something else for my drinking water for now that I have realized that I don't want that shit in me. And that the fluoride is put there intentionally to make us sick, to calcify the pineal gland, which is basically our little third eye in our head that helps us be aware and awake and connect with intuition and connect with spirit and all of that stuff that awakened people do on a pretty natural basis, but you kind of have to work to get there. So the rest of the masses basically are just being dumbed down by this. Anyway, that's a whole other video sometime. So then I go to Fresh Thyme because there was a couple of things that I wanted to get there. So I went in, and I'm becoming so much more conscious of how bad my apartment complex is on the trash situation, because one, I live right beside the trash dumpster, and I see all the crap that everybody throws away. We do not recycle here, which is really, really starting to bother me, because I used to recycle, and then when I moved here, I didn't because I got lazy, and I bought 2 trash cans, one for recycle and one for not, and then I never did shit with it. So I'm starting to personally feel guilty about throwing away things that can be recycled. So I have started recycling the bags that I get from the grocery store, because we can't use our little carry things in a lot of places at this point in time because of coronavirus. So Fresh Time takes those plastic bags and I know other stores do. I'm just now I'm getting in the habit of taking the plastic bags and dumping them in the recycle bin. But now, if I'm going to be using different kind of water, I've got all of these plastic bottles that I've got to figure out what I'm going to do with. The big gallon plastic bottles. And I don't want to throw those in the trash. So when I went to Fresh Time, I was asking, I was like, is there any place that you guys can think of where I can take these plastic bottles? And I'm like, I don't want to drink. I made a comment to the gal, the cash register gal, and I was like, I don't want to drink that shit that's coming out of the tap anymore. And she just laughed. And I said, you'd think that was funny, wasn't it? But I'm serious. And the other guy, which I just learned today, and I know there's a lot of people out there that probably know this, but this is just my new awareness. I've seen them. I didn't really know what they were. Didn't know why anybody would bother with this. Now I understand. When I said, do you have any thoughts on what I can do to recycle all these plastic bottles? And he's like, well, you could refill them here with the osmosis, reverse osmosis, and it's only like 39 cents. Okay, so 39 cents is cheaper than the bottle that I have just bought today, 6 of, and I get to recycle the plastic bottles over and over and over again. So, lesson learned. I made a great accomplishment today, I guess, is I have decided to quit putting poison in my body on a daily basis, which I thought I was doing better because I was filtering it through the Brita water filter. But now I know that probably isn't doing much good whatsoever. It's not taking hardly anything out because I finally started researching that. So anyway, that is my rant for the moment. I will probably get into more detail about the pineal gland and other things that are unwittingly to us affecting us on a negative basis on a day-to-day that we don't even know about. A lot of people don't care about. I personally am starting to care more and more all the time because on a scale of 1 to 10, I would say for the most part, I'm a fairly healthy eater most of the time. I could do better. I know I could do better, but I also know there's a lot of people that do a lot worse than me, and I guess I feel like I should feel better if I'm eating better than normal Joe Blow. Because, man, they must feel like complete shit. I watch some of the stuff people eat at work, and I just don't know how they function. So I question that because sometimes I have a hard time functioning. So I'm trying to make some adjustments on things that I am doing to make me feel better. Anyway, I think that's it for now. That was my little rant on the water. And anybody have any opinions on that? Throw it in. I'm willing to listen to it. Talk to you later. Bye.